Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Burning Rower podcast. I'm Jake Scarborough, joined this week by my special guest, Jade Avedisian. Jade, how are you doing today?
Good. Thanks for asking. I'm happy to be here.
Well, it's great to have you on. Obviously, meeting with your dad, Ryan, at Merced, seeing the way, your season's gone, obviously, with the ups, the downs, and obviously a lot of history-making moments. So, let's get this thing started. Obviously, with the most recent news surrounding you was that incident you had with Tanner Carrick, with the flip and everything. What was it that was going through your mind as that incident occurred, especially afterwards with your action?
Yeah, it was different, I guess you could say. I've never got put in a situation like that. So, um, like I've seen other people get put in that same situation, and I always think you can always learn from what other people do. And I knew that as much as I wanted to do other stuff, maybe you can't. With that being said, so when I got out of the car, I was mad enough to walk over there, obviously, but I was like, okay, I can't do anything dumb. I can't, I have to stay still cool. So, that's what I decided. I don't know if it was a good choice or a bad choice, but that's what I did.
Well, considering most drivers would probably try fighting, and the most you did was just a fist bump, which showed, you had the strength to get out of the car instantly and obviously walk over there to show your displeasure. So a lot of people looked at that as a positive, obviously, compared to how other drivers handle things.
Yeah, I think I did the right thing. Like all the notifications I got from Twitter and stuff were good, so I was happy with that. But obviously, I would have been happier to finish the race.
Yeah. Well, earlier in the year as well, you got your first career win in the Extreme Outlaws. With that being said, how did that first win at a level that is feel?
Yeah, it was cool. You know, the start of that week it was really bad, like really bad. I think the worst racing week of my life till that last night. It was Power Ride Speed Week, so it was 7 days or so, and we flipped. I think every night except for the last two, and the night before Jacksonville, I went 8 to 2nd. So I was like, okay, my week's turning around, and then going to Jackson and winning was obviously very cool. Never raced there till that race, so it was cool always to go somewhere new and win, and then obviously to be the first um, woman, and then my last win at I-44, the first repeat winner, was also very cool. So as a season in a whole, really, it was a lot of up and downs, like you were saying earlier, but glad to get the two wins out of my season.
Yeah, and then obviously with that, as you mentioned, you were the first woman to win a feature in a midget tour race. Now, obviously, that didn't last long, as apparently there was a race a few weeks prior with Taylor Reimer winning a race due to disqualification. So you were the first to reach the checkered flag. Do you feel as though her win kind of tarnished what you had at Jacksonville?
Um, no, I mean, I don't really know. I guess you could say who the first winner was. She definitely put herself in position, running second at Millbridge, and then whatever happened with Cannon. Um, I guess I don't know really what happened, but like I was saying, she put herself in position to win, and then when stuff happens like that, it's unfortunate because she could be the first win. At Millbridge, I was absolutely horrible, so for her to run second at Millbridge, and then to me finally across the checkered flag at Jacksonville was also really cool.
Yeah, and also as you mentioned with the second race of this or the season finale for the Extreme Outlaws that you won, being the first female to win two features. How did that one feel to add another thing to your resume?
Yeah, like I said, it was cool. Like, obviously the first one was really cool because it was my first midget win and the first full season I've ran. So, to click off two, and especially out of track, I've always struggled at, and as a team, like as a whole, we've always struggled at, which was I-44. To walk out of there, at the end of the season with a win, going strong into the West Coast swing that was a few weeks ago was also a really good feeling.
And then obviously you are a part of the Toyota development or Toyota Racing Development Program (TRD) with CB Industries. What has TRD done to help elevate you to where you're at right now?
I mean, I can't really say it all, but I'm happy and grateful for the opportunity they have gave me, and like you were just saying, I'm under their umbrella. So now that we're at the end of the season, just looking forward to what's going to happen next year, and I appreciate all my sponsors as long as them for letting me race and do what I love to do.
And then also another thing that kind of stirs away from the dirt racing scene. We've heard other drivers interview, for example, Kaylee Bryson has mentioned on social media as well as interviews that she would love to go into IndyCar. Is there any other motorsport that you plan on going into in later years?
I don't have a plan of my racing career yet. I think I'm still pretty young in the sport, but my dream is to make it to Cup.
Awesome. And then to further continue with that, um, the motorsport scene has had, just a small amount of female drivers over the years. Slowly, that is growing over time, especially this year, and especially in the dirt scene. Now, to be one of those female drivers and one of the trailblazers in that scene, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, I'm friends with all the girls, and I think it's all really cool that we race and race midgets. Midgets are very fun and very different from other stuff, but we all have our goals, and we all when we get on the racetrack have the same goal, and that's to win. So it's obviously really cool that we all race, and but we also all have the same goals.
Yeah. And obviously, as any driver has, they have a unique story as to why they started racing. So tell us and the viewers, what was your reason for starting racing?
So my dad worked on sprint cars when he was growing up, and he never got the opportunity. And I'm not sure if he actually really wanted to race, but he loved to work on them. So when I was born, I honestly think I was at a sprint car race when I was like 6 months. So I've always really grown up around it. And then when I turned 5, we had a little quarter midget that he bought us, or that he bought me. So we would go to empty parking lots like on a Sunday or something and mess around. And one day I pulled off and I was like, okay, I think I want to race. So I think it was the next weekend we ended up at the quarter midget track in Madeira, which is only like 30 minutes from my house. And that's basically how it started.
Yeah. Then in 2015, that's mentioned on your website, you won 3 QMA championships, being the first to win the East, the West, and the Dirt Championship, all in the same year. So that being added on as especially an early thing, what made that all come together?
Yeah, so I think that was the year before that we raced locally, and that year that we decided to go do that was our first year traveling. So for the first year traveling and the first year or second year, like really getting in the sport, to win those 3 races back to back was a very special moment for me and my family.
That's amazing to hear, and also, to further back, how you're one of the trailblazing women in the sport. To be doing this at such an young age, right now being 16, obviously you got your first career win uh, in World Outlaws at 15. This year has been insane for you. So to be doing all this at a young age, how does that stack on? Do you feel like that's more to your resume and more to show, hey, this is what I'm going to be capable of, and hey, this is what I'm here to do?
Yeah, definitely. I think the younger you get in the sport, the more success, the more races you have, the more experience you have. So maybe when I'm 20 or so, I think I'm going to be super, super experienced just because I started so young and I have all these races under my belt.
And lastly, seeing as your current story is, a lot of people will look at that and say is inspiring to be as young as you are and to be a woman in the sport, as well as, there are people that look up to drivers. So to be, around the same age as people that are looking up to these drivers and being one already, how does that make you feel knowing that?
Yeah, it's definitely really cool. Um, I actually look up to someone that's just a few years older than me, and it's crazy that the only 3 years or so could be a difference into making a career out of it or not making a career. So to so for people to be looking up to me is very very special because I work so hard to try to do good at every race, if that makes sense. So like I said, for people looking up to for me is very very special.
Well, I think that's all the questions we have for you today, and we made. So, once again, Jade, thank you for coming on to the podcast. It was great having you.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And once again, thank you to all the viewers who joined in to watch this interview. Jade, best of luck next year, and we look forward to having you back on in the future.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And with that, thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next week.